was on KBLA yesterday with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate?
We all know Bill Maher's always had a bit of a soft spot for Gavin Newsom, but that didn't stop him from absolutely dragging the California governor for turning the Golden State into a bureaucratic circus. Maher didn't just take a jab, he went scorched earth on one of his longtime liberal faves. And it was brutal. Look, Gavin might be the pretty face that gets whispered in every Democrat's 2028 fantasy campaign meeting, but when you zoom in on what he's done to California, it's a mess that even his best PR team can't spin. And that's what's driving Maher mad, because this isn't just some distant disaster. This is happening in his own backyard, and he's watching it crumble in real time.
The new law in this, I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about, and this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one, because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself.
Bill didn't even pretend to ease into it. He came out swinging, zero filters. First up, the one thing nobody can ignore, red tape. Maher lit up Newsom over the endless web of regulations, delays, and so-called progressive policies that sound good on paper but suffocate real progress. In Maher's words, California's become a slow-motion car crash wrapped in a rainbow flag and buried under 3 layers of useless paperwork. He's furious, not just disappointed, furious. Because every ounce of potential is being drained by a system built more for virtue signaling than actual results. And in his eyes, Newsom's just posing for cameras while the real California burns from the inside. So if you're tired of the political fairy tales and want to see someone actually call it like it is, then strap in. This one's got no breaks. Let's talk receipts. Because Gavin Newsom's track record isn't just messy, it's downright embarrassing. Remember last year's wildfires? The entire state was choking on smoke while officials fumbled the response like it was their first day on the job. Sluggish, sloppy, and dangerously disorganized. And now, we've got full-on ice-fueled riots shaking up California, and the government's nowhere to be found. Again, it's chaos out there. Streets on fire, businesses ransacked, and Gavin, he didn't just drop the ball, he punted it into the sun. His first move, not control, not calm, but clout chasing. He bizarrely aligned himself with the rioters and even dared Trump to come arrest him. Like what?
10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
But then came the internet. The backlash exploded. Left, right, everyone dragged him. And suddenly, the man who was chest puffing for the cameras turned into a groveling politician trying to claw back dignity. Cue the shaky apology tour. He backpedaled harder than a cyclist on a cliff. Then, just when people thought it couldn't get more awkward, he switched gears again. Tough talk mode activated. Newsom threatened arrests and promised to bring down the hammer on the same rioters he initially embraced. But let's be real, nobody was impressed. It screamed desperation. Too little, too late. The damage was done, visibly, politically, and publicly. And the sudden shift in tone, it didn't feel like leadership. It felt like a scared man trying to survive a news cycle. People saw through it, and trust, gone.
Newsom did eventually come out and apologize. If you want to go on Twitter, Rob, and just go to the apology video that he came out eventually. This is, I think, 4-5 days later. On day one, I asked him, I said, are you going to come out and do this? Watch how he's finally wanting to have his people be responsible. Go ahead, Rob.
If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account.
Okay.
That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested. And we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases. And people will be prosecuted.
Now here's the million-dollar question. If he couldn't handle a meltdown on his own turf, how in the world is he supposed to lead a nation? What happens when it's not rioters, but a real foreign threat knocking on America's door? Think about that. Let's be honest. If the pressure gets real, does anyone actually believe Gavin Newsom won't just crack, toss out a weak apology, and then fumble around trying to fix a disaster he helped create? Leadership isn't about rehearsed speeches or picture-perfect smiles. It's about having the guts to act fast, take control, and own your decisions. But Maher sees it clear as day. Gavin's version of leadership is just flashy progressivism with zero backbone. And to Maher, California isn't just some state in disarray. It's a crystal ball, a full-blown red alert for what happens when ideology outruns common sense. It's not just Newsom's